a very large presence there. Very contrasting images we've obtained, a video from a cameraman. We've verified the location and the timings of the pictures, and they relate to last Wednesday when there was a relentless attack upon anti-government demonstrators in the square and outside the square by pro-Mubarak supporters. But these pictures relate to what happened in the evening, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Must warn viewers, they'll find many of these images disturbing. A crowd of anti-government protesters surrounding a pro-Mubarak supporters bus that had driven at speed into their number earlier. It's late last Wednesday night. They try to turn the vehicle over, ripping open the driver's door. There's no escape. Here, the driver's already been pulled out, and he's being lynched. From these pictures, it appears no one else was on the bus, but we can't verify that, and the fate of the driver is unknown. The frenzy of anger continues right through the night into the early hours of Thursday. Across the bridge, pro-Mubarak supporters on the move again, seemingly intent on more confrontation. But it all goes wrong. A mob of anti-government protesters swelling in numbers and showing no mercy. Each of the 9 men are attacked. Revenge for the earlier violence in which many of their numbers were killed. Hatred. While some of the men are led away, beaten as they go, another was singled out. It hasn't been possible to establish how many victims of this night lived or died. This was all filmed by a European cameraman. He says 14 minutes later, there was yet another dimension to the violence. Gunfire on the bridge aimed at anti-government protesters. A laser picks out individuals. This round finds its target. It can't be established at this stage who fired these shots, just as it isn't possible to identify victims or their attackers. The questions over last Wednesday night, Thursday morning, linger.
Andrew, as this standoff continues, as the protesters continue to stand firm on their demands, the government, on the other hand, also stands firm on what it intends to do. Where does the time factor come in? Is there a sense that the demonstrators could be losing some steam while the government may be gaining the momentum?
Listen to people in the square and you'll be told there's no shortage of steam, and they're absolutely adamant they will stay until Mubarak, until there is a stand down. And this, of course, is now a situation that's much more difficult because the government is making concessions, there's no doubt about that, and the lower middle classes in particular are returning to work, trying to get back to normal. The city, it's really the second day now of a semblance of normality. So you'd be very brave to predict when this will come to an end and what the outcome will be. Gida.
Which camera? Andrew Simmons from Cairo. Thanks very much, Andrew. Okay, we can now get a recap on what's been happening in Egypt over the last few hours. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher has more on the 14th day of protests.
It was a tribute to a dead journalist, shot doing his job. Ahmed Mahmoud was filming fights between protesters and police on his mobile phone. He was shot in the head. The coffin is empty. His body has yet to be returned to his family. But the emotion and the pain is raw and real.
I feel like I lost a great thing. I lost my partner, I lost my daughter's father, and she needs him.
Cairo is slowly cranking back up to normal. President Hosni Mubarak has held the first full meeting of his new cabinet, sending a clear message he's still in charge. On the streets, shops are opening, banks are functioning, traffic is moving.
The past 7-8 days affected the entire country. The banks were closed, the post offices were not open either. When they reopened yesterday, everything was back to normal, but there are still some queues.
The protest in Liberation Square is now moving into its third week. The people here are getting more organised. The numbers stay the same. The space they're allowed to occupy is getting smaller. Slowly, the army is squeezing the area around the square.
Those who are thinking that we will get tired of sitting in Tahrir Square, we tell them that we are not leaving. Mubarak should leave Cairo.
For the anti-government camp, the worry is the air is being sucked out of these protests, momentum is being lost. The tanks and soldiers are a reminder of what has gone on over the past days and weeks, and a reminder that this crisis is also far from over. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera.
The founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, has returned to court in the UK. A judge is now expected to rule on whether he should be extradited to Sweden to face allegations of rape. His defense lawyers argue that the Swedish prosecutor doesn't have the right to issue a European arrest warrant. They're also concerned the trial will be held in secret with no chance of open justice. They also claim an abuse of proceedings because Assange has repeatedly offered himself up for questioning, but he was turned down. They argue Assange is a victim of illegal and corrupt behavior by the Swedish prosecutors, and that any extradition could lead to his deportation to the United States, where he could face the death penalty. Well, this is what Assange had to say outside the court just a short while ago.
5.5 months, we have been in a condition where a black box has been applied to my life. And on the outside of that black box has been written the word rape. That box is now, thanks to an open court process, being opened.
A hearing into the killing of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri has begun in the Netherlands. Highly sensitive charges, including terrorism and conspiracy, are expected to be revealed. The indictment has sparked a political crisis in Lebanon, where Hezbollah members are expected to be implicated. The Cambodian government says heavy shelling by the Thai army has caused part of an 11th century temple to collapse. Fighting over the past 4 days has forced thousands of Thai villagers to flee the disputed border region. Hundreds of Cambodians have been evacuated. Both countries lay claim to the area surrounding the temple. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon is said to be deeply concerned about the standoff and has called for maximum restraint. And that is the latest from Al Jazeera. Coming up next, it's Inside Story. Thanks for watching.
It's been nearly 2 weeks and the protesters in Egypt are still calling for the president to leave. One of the main reasons they are angry, money and corruption. Many Egyptians feel the only ones benefiting from the country's wealth are businessmen with ties to the ruling National Democratic Party. How did Egypt become so corrupt, and what can a new government really do about it? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Divya Gopalan. Since the protests began against Mubarak's regime, reports about the wealth of Mubarak, his family and the people close to him have started to emerge. They paint a picture of a state where wealth fuels political power and political power buys wealth. According to some reports, Mubarak himself has an estimated net worth of $40 to $70 billion. Paul Brennan has the details.
Gamal Mubarak's exclusive London address on a street where the houses cost more than $8 million each. As one of the few known examples of the Mubarak family wealth, this property has been the focus of protesters' anger. But this impressive home is undoubtedly just a hint at the enormous wealth that the Mubarak family and their associates have accumulated over 30 years in power. As well as owning numerous prime locations in Egypt, the president is reported to have substantial properties in Manhattan, London and Beverly Hills. But his trusted political allies have also benefited. Opposition groups in Egypt accuse the ruling NDP of operating a cartel when it comes to lucrative business deals. It's alleged the most lucrative contracts are handed out to a select and exclusive group of politically connected businessmen.
you find a lot of businessmen are actually ministers in Mubarak government. Mohammed Rashid, he's a minister of trade, for example. Others also, they got prominent position in the government. So they control the governments and they control also the business sector.
For evidence of the close links between politics and business in Egypt, look no further than disgraced tycoon Hisham Talat Mustafa. His father's company, the Talat Mustafa Group, built the San Stefano Grand Plaza in Alexandria and major developments in Sharm el-Sheikh. Hisham himself became